Alright. And we will take a quick look at this. Alright, so this is from a guy called Baggage Claim, or actually looks like it might be a chick. So I've never watched this channel before. This one was just sent to me, so we'll see how it is. And then, again, hopefully none of these clips get me any copyright problems. But this is fair use.
That's enough.
And as you guys know, I am not the biggest superhero guy, so we will see how this turns out for me. I do like a few superhero movies. MCU, there's only a couple that I like. Like, I like Civil War. I liked Infinity War, mainly because of the ending. And I liked Iron Man 1. The rest of them, there was a few others that were, like, okay, but I'm not super into the MCU. Yeah, I also was okay with Ragnarok. It was funny, but, like, that was the main saving grace. And again, the humor is something in the MCU that I feel like there's too much. They try too hard to make everybody funny. When it was just Tony Stark, that's fine. That's why it's called Stark Snark, right? But then they made everyone be like that, and it got a little obnoxious.
Yeah, no. Bad call. He loves his hammer. You want me to put the hammer
All right.
down?
Hammer time. Kaboom. But yeah, there you go. There's that. Why, Marvel Phase 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so Phase 4. Interesting way to do the graphic. There sucks. Which, I mean, that should be pretty obvious. Number one, they're running out of ideas, and number two, it's a bunch of woke trash.
First Avengers movie in a forest that we saw the Marvel Holy Trinity. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America.
Well, I think Spider-Man's more iconic than them, but yeah, I guess besides Spider-Man.
The three men brought to the Avengers unique strengths. Tony, his technological genius, Thor brought godly strength, and Steve grounded the group with his resolute morality. And
I mean, that's true. They each did bring something to the table.
on this bedrock, Marvel built the greatest franchise we have ever seen. A decade later...
Well, again, you know what? Culturally, it's pretty fucking huge, so even though I'm not the biggest fan, I will say it is probably the biggest franchise in recent years.
With Tony Stark, we got what we wanted. An incredible end.
So I never watched Endgame. I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in it, because I was kind of getting burnt out, but I've heard mixed things. I know that this Thanos is, because this is real Thanos, right? And then 2014 Thanos comes back, and he's not as good, because he's, from what I hear, the second Thanos in Endgame is actually really, like, poorly written. I don't know if this is that one, because I never watched it, but I know that, like, you know, Infinity War Thanos is the well-written one, and 2014 Thanos is the poorly written one, but it's consistent with how the character, I guess, was, given the time frame.
To an incredible story.
And again, I'm speaking completely out of things I've heard from other people, so bear that in mind. I've never seen Endgame.
Standing up to subjugation in all forms, and how sometimes the price is the ultimate sacrifice. And so ended my...
I like that, though. Like, everyone's mad that Iron Man died, but I'm a fan of tragedy. So I like the idea of Iron Man sacrificing himself, because he's not the guy that would normally do that, right? Because he's kind of selfish. I think that's a good send-off. A lot of people were mad about that. I honestly think, even though I'm not a fan, and I've never seen Endgame, I agree with most people that that Endgame probably should have been the end. I mean, it's literally called Endgame. It probably should have been the end of the series.
Marvel Phase 3, with 3 of our 6 characters getting satisfactory, if not heartbreaking ends to their stories. And began the age of Phase 4, aptly described by the creators as being about guilt and consequences.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, Phase 4 is a correction of the previous 3 phases, where the male heroes led the way in the MCU, with a few women making their mark, and the representation to many was not sufficient. And with
Well, as you guys know, I don't give a shit about representation.
many heavy hitters permanently retired out of the series, it was time to bring the newest talent to the forefront. So this should have been an exciting time for Marvel. And if
I mean, if you're getting rid of a lot of your big old guys, you should probably give the new one some spotlight to keep it fresh instead of, like, bringing shit back and recycling shit. But again, a lot of the new heroes kind of suck, so...
fans. Unfortunately, it's been what could be best described as a multi-billion-dollar repeated series of belly flops. Aside from Spider-Man Far From Home, none of
Yeah,
them...
I've heard good things about Far From Home. That is one thing. I have heard nothing but good things about Far From Home.
Movies and TV shows have resulted in solid box office or streaming numbers for Marvel. Even the highly
Shit,
anticipated
that's
Thor:
kinda
Love
funny.
and Thunder has had one of the worst Rotten Tomato ratings for the MCU, and one of the
Yeah, because it's trash. Like, here's the thing. It's funny. My friend Rem, right? He watches all the new Marvel movies as they come out, and the worst rating he'll ever give one is that it was like okay, because he's a fucking shill. He'll watch whatever. He's a consumer, right?
largest box office falls in the second weekend of its release. So, what's going on?
Well, the movies are trash.
Well, if the creators of these shows and movies are to be believed, it's because we're all racist or sexist.
Yep, that's because they don't like to take responsibility for their shit. I hate that. That's the worst thing about modern day creators. They're like, oh, well, you're just a sexist. Oh, well, you're just a racist. Oh, you don't like seeing a woman do this. Oh, you don't like fuck off. Just make a good movie and we'll like it.
We're bigoted. That we don't like the fact that women or women of color or men of color or people from the LGBTQ community taking on the mantle of heroes. Now, I'm not saying...
Yeah, just do them well. I mean, look, I didn't have any interest in seeing it, but I've heard a lot of people liked Wonder Woman, and it was pretty successful. Like I said, I didn't have any interest in it, but I've heard that it did okay.
This argument is completely false. If we're looking at the entire world here, which is the market for these movies, we will always find people who don't like something.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing, there's a lot of, like, strong female characters in, like, anime, and nobody has a problem with that. It's just that they're poorly written.
Prejudice. But this is most definitely not the only answer to this question. It is, however, a convenient answer. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, it's a way people deflect responsibility all the time.
An answer that is nearly impossible to rebut, because it stops the conversation in its tracks and prevents any further discussion of what lessons the creators and writers of these shows can learn from their failure.
Yeah, exactly. You need to learn from your mistakes. If you don't take any responsibility, you're not going to get anywhere.
In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into Marvel Phase 4 by going through
Oh boy, I'm so excited.
problems, the true Marvel agenda, and its impact. My first
I mean, granted, this chick seems pretty on point so far, though. I gotta say, there's been nothing I've really disagreed with. So,
problem with Phase 4 is the bait and switch.
oh yeah, they love doing that. They gotta subvert your expectations.
At the beginning, there was plenty of excitement for Phase 4, with the promise of an exciting Loki show that would explore various versions of him, tantalizingly teased in the trailer. But once the show aired, it was nothing but a trick befitting Loki, the god of mischief, since Loki really wasn't the star of Loki.
Yeah, that's the thing they love to do. They make a show with someone's name in it, right? And then it's not about them. They've been doing that a lot.
This isn't about you.
Why is it called Loki then, bitch?
I mean, he's there and has plenty of screen time, but he really isn't feeling like himself, since this is a time for guilt and consequences. No, the Loki show is about Sylvie, the female Loki, who is far superior to our beloved...
See, that's the problem, is they gotta make the female characters just better versions of the male characters, and it becomes really obnoxious. Be like, see, I'm better than you. Rather than just being a good character in their own right, they gotta be a different version of an existing character and outdo them in every fucking way.
The devious delinquent, and Loki is here, thankfully, to provide Sylvie with emotional support.
You did it on your own. You ran
Yeah, just like Hulk and She-Hulk, right? God, She-Hulk is a fucking train wreck.
around them. You're amazing.
As she makes tenuous decisions that risk the stability of the sacred timeline. If that sentence didn't make sense to you, don't worry. You're one of the lucky ones. You avoided the major snooze fest that was Loki.
By the way,
Woo! I avoided it, boys. We did it. I'm cool.
at your desk, that magazine.
Yeah, one on jet skis.
Yes. Why'd you have that?
Hello? That's not funny!
See, because it's funny. I don't get why they have to try to be funny all the time. Like it's what they always do now. Marvel is always trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, some things, actually most things.
But the bait and switch didn't end there, since Doctor Strange 2 isn't really
I've heard that this is like the worst movie in the MCU, the Multiverse of Madness.
about Doctor Strange. He's really here to empower a new hero, America Chavez, and remind her how wonderful she already is.
That's dumb. I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was like he was taking a side seat in that. That's stupid.
Here to tell you to trust yourself.
He sounds like fucking Jub from fucking Morrowind, you know. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
Wake up. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
Trust your power.
I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
That's how we stop her.
A few moments later.
Also, he spends a lot of time being talked down to.
Yeah, of course, because they gotta put the guys in check. Check your privilege.
Emotionally kicked in the balls for
And you know you gotta punish them because they're bad. They're bad. Men bad.
dropping the ball when it came to Christine Palmer, which he did.
Another thing Marvel does, any terrible thing that the female heroes do, they just act like it's okay. Like, legit. Like, that's the big theme with Marvel. Like Wanda does a lot of bad stuff in WandaVision, but it's okay because she's a woman.
Repeatedly in literally every...
And again, I haven't watched any of these things. I've just, you know, had people talk to me about them and seen videos on them. So take that into account when you're listening to what I say.
universe, and we see it again with Hawkeye, which is not a show about Hawkeye. Why would you think it would be, you cute little dum-dum?
Yeah, titles don't mean anything.
Of course, about...
It's so stupid. Like, call it something else. Oh, but they can't do that. You know why? Because they want to sell. They want to make money by profiting off existing heroes. Although Hawkeye's really not that, like, popular, is he?
Kate Bishop, but don't worry, Hawkeye's her faithful...
I guess maybe he is. I don't know. I feel like he's one of the lesser popular ones, though, when it comes to, like, the Avengers, isn't he?
little sidekick as she navigates bad guys and gals and pushes the plot forward and repeatedly...
Dude, she had a fucking torque bow.
...tells Hawkeye that he needs better branding. Look, I have no problem with female heroes being added to the roster.
Yeah, you just gotta write them well.
Taking characters that are established, some established over a full decade worth of films, and then convincing fans that you can get more of them, follow along on their journey further, only to find out that they are being searched and replaced by female characters. Well,
yeah, exactly. Again, as I said, every female character is just a better version of a male character who's just a girl boss and better than them in every way. It's so stupid.
Frankly, that's very dishonest and very disrespectful to a loyal fan base. And
absolutely. I like this chick. She's making a lot of good points.
What about Thor? Because they have done a bit of a search and replace with him as well, adding the almighty Thor in there, who makes sure to lecture Gore, the God Butcher, on the perils of sexism because he calls her Lady Thor instead of calling her the almighty Thor or
Almighty Thor. Oh yeah, because she's got to be more mighty than regular. And that's another thing. Thor is like a title in the MCU rather than like his name? That's confusing as fuck to me.
Dr. Jane Foster. Bitch, why would he know your name? And if that sentence didn't make sense to you, don't worry, you're one of the lucky ones. Because you avoided the insincere heap of hot garbage put together by a man who honestly doesn't care about anything.
That's it. That's my range.
Taika Waititi. That guy is like... He does like everything now. Like he's like everywhere. Like, he made a pretty good Hitler in Jojo Rabbit, right? But, like, that movie was not as good as it could have been. Like, again, it was okay. I got a few laughs, right? But this guy, he's so preachy. And, like, he writes for, like, everything now. He was on, like, Star Wars. He's on this. He's fucking everywhere now.
My range is me. I don't try. And I'm successful. That's how we get the movie.
I'm going to come back to Thor Love and Thunder later, because what they did to Thor's character was one of the worst treatments of heroes I've ever seen. Instead, let's talk about problem number 2. This is too easy. The biggest lure of heroic films is that we get to witness heroes taking on problems.
Exactly, it's the hero's journey. They have to struggle to be interesting.
Embodied in villains. Through intense amount of strife, these heroes find the courage and fortitude to overcome them. And this is
my friends really want me to watch Far From Home. I'm actually going to be watching it with one of my friends, and I'm going to show him Watchmen, so we'll do a superhero day that day.
It's true for superheroes as well, since they lay out the drama of good triumphing over evil on an epic scale. But just as much as we need good heroes, we need good villains.
True. That's another thing. That's why I actually like Infinity War, is Thanos is a really good villain in Infinity War.
a good story that tests our heroes to their limits. Unfortunately, Marvel Phase 4 doesn't agree with this form of storytelling, since all the new heroes come out of the box ready-made. There isn't much growth.
Yeah, exactly. They're just stealing someone else's fucking identity, effectively.
That they need to experience in order to meet their full potential, aside from maybe a slight lack of belief in themselves. Kate
Yeah,
Bishop,
exactly. All of the problems of these new characters is in their own head, whereas all the other ones actually had to overcome struggle.
despite being a young girl, is immediately able to take on the Mafia. She's easily able to face off against a Black Widow. Those karate classes were really worth every dime, I guess. Black Widow takes all sorts of punches, hits, crashes, falls, and walks them off like she's a super soldier. And taking down Draco...
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Game of Thrones did the same thing later on with all their characters. Like, in Season 5, Season 6, Arya gets stabbed a bunch of times, thrown in a dirty canal, and then walks around the entire town of Bravos just holding her gut when she should have easily bled out or died from infection. And characters have died from way less, but no, she's just fine.
And his red room was simply a matter of...
So it's hardly only a Marvel problem, is what I'm getting at. It's a problem with a lot of new media.
Headbutting a desk and a couple minutes of work by Melina. Cersei is easily able to stop a Celestial,
Speaking of Game of Thrones, they have a Cersei in that too, I guess.
a god, from being born and ripping apart the earth.
That looks like the fucking... That looks like... I was going to say it kind of looked like the Iron Giant, but not really. But that's what I thought when I saw it earlier, right? When it was actually, like, moving around.
By turning him to marble, even though her powers thus far have been totally unrelated. I mean, she was creating water, right? And like a tree, I think? And if all that...
Oh, but you see, that's another thing. Powers don't make any sense. Like, in The Last Jedi, the Force just can do whatever the fuck it wants. Same thing with Rise of Skywalker. They just decide, oh, the Force can just do whatever we want it to do for plot convenience. It's so stupid, because the Force was already overpowered as shit, but it had limits and an existing lore that kind of explained it, right? Now it can do whatever it wants. So again, they do the same thing with the powers now.
Didn't make sense to you, then I'm with you. Even I don't fully understand the Eternals. It looks cool though. I could go on, but you get the point. This is all too easy, and when they show us female heroes have incredibly heroic moments, they feel a little dissatisfactory.
Yeah, because they're forced and they're, like, not earned.
One single reason. We all hate women. No.
Now that's funny!
No, because this all feels unearned. Because
I like this chick.
we haven't seen the traditional journey of a hero get tested, get knocked down, and forced to reconcile with their own deficiencies, and come back stronger than ever. Let's look at Iron Man as an example. When we meet Tony for the first time in the MCU, it's obvious he's highly competent and the greatest inventor of his age, but has a
Yeah, like I said, Iron Man 1 is such a good movie. I genuinely really like Iron Man 1.
clear flaw, his willful blindness. Blindness to the impact of his creations on the rest of the world, blindness to his business partner's true nature, and most importantly of all, blindness to his own insufficiencies. And we see him go through hell, get beaten down, and build himself back up to...
Yeah, like I said, I stand by Iron Man 1 is the best movie in the MCU. And it was the first one.
To become an incredible hero. Alternatively, what if Tony was perfect from the beginning? And
It would suck.
The only thing he was missing was a slight amount of confidence in himself, which is easily remedied by Pepper. Well, that would have made for a pretty rotten viewing experience. But let's
Absolutely it would.
do one better and use a good example of a female hero. In my last video about woke feminism, I briefly talked about Rita Vertasky from Edge of Tomorrow, who is easily one of my favorite heroes.
That's a strange movie in the fact that, like, nobody actually knows the title of it. Because it's called Edge of Tomorrow. It's actually based off a manga called All You Need Is Kill, which a lot of people don't know. But, like, the marketing was Live, Die, Repeat, so a lot of people think that the movie is just called Live, Die, Repeat. Interesting tidbit there.
During the introduction, there are several references to Rita, or as she is known, the Angel of Verdun, after she helped win a decisive battle over the invading aliens. While Tom Cruise's character...
I've actually heard this movie's pretty underrated, too.
...is shown as incompetent and out of his depths, and frankly, a complete coward. Rita is the symbol of the ultimate warrior. The movie builds up Cage's fear and panic perfectly, and despite his being completely ill-prepared for battle, he is dropped into a war zone. In this chaotic nightmare, it's exciting to watch Rita's entrance, equipped with her chosen weapon, a helicopter blade. And
Interesting choice, but okay. A helicopter blade could do some damage.
Cage, along with the audience, looks up at her in awe. This scene is perfectly executed. After establishing her as incredibly powerful, competent, and brave, the Angel of Verdun is no match for this alien invasion. The enemy is far more dangerous than we thought. If you've seen the movie, then you know that this is not the end for Rita.
Which, you know, I have not seen the movie, which, again, I've heard decent things. I know Kyler actually has a copy of it, so I could watch it if I wanted to.
Cage accidentally co-opts a power from the aliens, which resets the day every time he dies. So what makes Rita a compelling
Dude, it's like a Groundhog Day situation.
hero is that despite all of her ability, she is not invulnerable, and she's not enough. And seeing the reality of the enemy's strength, she trains Cage to work side by side with her to accomplish their goal. This is how you...
See, that's actually a writing technique I really like, where you make a hero really strong, but then show that they're hopeless against whatever they're facing against. Like, because they get, like, they're really strong, overconfident, get knocked down. I think that's actually pretty cool when it's done well.
A compelling heroic tale. And this is exactly why Layla saving Moon Knight is not exciting. Just like Sylvie doing anything is boring. Just like Yelena constantly talking about how dangerous she is boring.
When she said that, that reminded me of, you guys ever seen the IT Crowd? There's that episode where, what the fuck is his name? I can't remember the one that's not Moss, the other one. The hell is his name? Anyway, he's like trying to pick up chicks because he finds out chicks like kind of douchebags, and so he keeps talking about how terrible he is without actually doing anything rude.
I'm just a lonely loner on a lonely road. Alone.
Do you always wear shades?
Always. They have me hide the fact. Always lying.
And then, of course, he gets outdone by someone who's actually a douche.
You kill me.
I think his name's Roy. Something like that.
Oh, Kate Bishop, you are so funny. That's hilarious.
She sounds drunk. Maybe it's because of the Russian accent, but she sounds drunk.
That one is the funniest.
And all this feels unearned, because until we get to know a person's weaknesses, their
Oh, dude, it's Lalo!
struggles, and see them work towards...
Hey, it's Norma Bates.
Excellence, we really don't care if they win. All of this is unearned. And this leads
Damn straight.
to the third issue with Marvel Phase 4, Black and White Thinking. My big...
Yep. They don't want to make the characters, like, developed or nuanced. They're just, like, they gotta make them really simplistic.
biggest issue with the stories in Phase 4 is their predictability. I can tell the plot and characterizations of the stories in one single line. Men no good unless they're a minority.
Do not forget your place.
Women good. And even if women bad, women good.
Dude, this chick is based as hell. How have I not found her channel before?
Never know what you sacrificed for them.
Let's go through it. In Black Widow, we see Taskmaster, who is revealed to be a woman. Surprise.
Even though it doesn't make any sense with, like, the fact that it was actually played by a guy for most of the movie until it took off the mask.
Tasha has to fight her and all the other widows. But wait, none of them are the real enemy, since they are being mind-controlled by the true villain, Dreykov, a white man. In Eternals, we find out about Ajax's betrayal, that she knew all along that the Celestial Arisham had sent...
Eternals is a movie that I honestly didn't even, like, know was in the MCU. Like, I saw, like, a trailer for it, like, once, and then I kind of forgot about it. You know, kind of like Daenerys kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
And all of them here to oversee the destruction of Earth.
The way that planet was all red and shit reminded me of the original Reach teaser trailer where the planet's all red and stuff. Then it exploded, but still.
Earth when a new Celestial would be born. But wait, Ajax was intending to stop this, and was betrayed by the true villain, Icarus, a white man. In Hawkeye, Kate and Barton are being hunted by Maya. But wait, she's being manipulated and lied to by the true villain, Kingpin, who is, you guessed it, a white man.
So is that like the Kingpin, like the one from Spider-Man?
When we discover Kate's mom committed murder and conspired with the Mafia, it's Kate's father's fault. Beautiful. I know you get the point, but I have another example for you from Falcon and Winter Soldier, where the villain, Carly, is clearly a terrorist, where she repeatedly kills innocent people.
There are still people in there.
This is the only language these people understand.
You need to be locked up.
But Falcon refuses to acknowledge that, even when she kills Lamar. Bitch, why are you looking
Dude, Lamar? He didn't deserve that. All he did was diss Franklin.
so fucking shocked Like you weren't punching to kill? Like you hadn't blown up a bunch of civilians earlier? But the show is very pointed in not treating Carly as a villain because...
Yeah, because she's a woman.
...of her cause.
The GRC care more about the people who came back than the ones who never left. We got a glimpse of how things could be. I need to know that you're all committed.
You need to be committed.
Because after tomorrow, there's no going back.
Epic music intensifies.
Okay. One world.
One people.
One world.
One people.
One world.
One people.
Carly
That's actually several words.
and her band of ethnic...
Was he saying one world or one word?
...diverse displaced...
And isn't that a Bob Marley quote?
...persons are angry because they were granted property and resources by an organization called the GRC after Thanos snapped half of our population.
Reparation Council. I bet they're good trademark.
Out of existence. But now those people are back, so the organization had to take that stuff back. What's sad here is that this was an incredible opportunity to explore a very difficult situation. What should the government do after property was given away, but now the rightful owners are back? This
Depends on how long it was.
Could have been explored in an interesting fashion, similar to the great debate of Captain America Civil War, where Tony and Steve went head-to-head on the issue of safety versus freedom.
Actually, yeah, Civil War was a really good movie. Because of that reason. It's actually the movie that made me really like Captain America, too. I don't know how he is in the other movies, but I liked him in that one.
The reason that debate was so engaging, because, first of all, it's a debate we have in our society all the time.
Damn straight it is.
When faced with actions of the
Freedom is the better one, by the way.
NSA infringing on our rights to privacy versus our desire to be safe. And secondly, as we have seen, it's a question with no easy answer, which is why their disagreement spans several movies, culminating in the fracturing of the Avengers and Thanos snapping his fingers. Unfortunately, in the situation of the Falcon and the
Yeah, the other movies actually had build-up.
Curious case of Carly, the writers applied their very black and white approach to this story. Carly is symbolized heavy-handedly, might I add, as the
Oh, everything's heavy-handed in fucking Marvel nowadays.
hero.
Subtlety does not exist. And it's not just Marvel, it's like everything now.
And the true villain, who happens to be, you guessed it, a white man,
Yes, I know, shocking.
is subjected to a long and very unhelpful lecture.
No idea how complicated this situation is. I'm a black man carrying
Oh boy.
in the Stars and Stripes. What don't I understand? You
Ooh.
gotta do better, Senator.
And we'll be
You've got to do better, fuck you.
clearly getting an additional lecture on the importance of borderless societies in the future with Marvel's Phase 5 project, Captain America: New World Order.
That's not real, right? She made that up as a joke, right? That was a joke. Because if so, it's a good joke. But if not, that's almost funnier.
One world.
One people.
Okay, yeah, it was one world. Okay, so yeah, it's a fucking... That's a Bob Marley quote.
One people.
One people.
So this is a good time to move on to the part 2 of this video. What is the goal of Marvel
Oh, to push an agenda.
Phase 4? I already mentioned earlier how Phase 4 is an overcorrection from the prior movies, where the men had a lot of the glory. But while the previous phases relied on good storytelling, strong characters, both male and female, interesting villains, and intriguing moral conundrums, Marvel Phase 4 has felt more like a lecture, mainly because it isn't story or character driven. But
Yeah, that's the thing. All fucking movies are like a lecture nowadays. It's fucking stupid.
agenda driven. The
Damn
writers
straight. Again, I like this chick.
and creators seem more like activists, and the characters
Oh yeah, this fucking rant. I do that scene. I've seen that scene so many times because it is such a bad scene. I've never watched the full episode because fuck that. But I've seen this scene.
turned into vehicles for them to disseminate their agenda.
I'm great at controlling my anger.
Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. This fucking rant is so bad. And for context, before this, she almost just brutally murdered a guy for trying to ask her out while she was in complete control. And she's trying to talk about how she can control her anger. So, self-awareness, absolute zero. 0 Kelvin.
I do it all the time.
That little soy nod he gives.
When I'm catcalled in the street,
Yeah, real problem. Bruce saw his fucking mother die in front of him. Or was it his father? I can't remember. He saw one of his parents die in front of him.
when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day.
I want to punch this bitch so bad. I bet you real Hulk would punch this bitch if it wasn't, you know, soy Hulk.
Because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult.
Maybe because you're being emotional and difficult.
Or might just literally get murdered.
What the fuck?
Name one instance of that ever fucking happening.
Oh, I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
You either
Uh-huh.
a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become a puppet of woke ideology. And it all
Very true.
feels very much like a talking down to. And there is an overemphasis on representation, where instead of it being a strength for this phase, it has become a crutch. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's literally just the most surface level shit. Be like, oh look, this person is different. That means they're good.
Yield to any sort of criticism. Representation in Phase 4 is being used as a threat, as if minorities have to like something simply based on the fact that their culture, religion, ethnicity, or sexual identity is being represented.
Is like, I just really hope, you know, our community specifically, the Muslim community, the brown community.
Anyone who says our community is full of shit. Like, the idea of like, oh, this community, that community. Fuck off.
Really like stands up and supports the show, because it's very easy to, you know, say negative things and be and just be very nitpicky about things.
Those nods. Fucking beta males, they always nod like that. They're always like, Slay Queen.
It's like we've worked really hard to try to be
Please tell me, educate me more.
really smart and specific and educated and well researched, and you know, just to bring that nuance and detail to the show. And I feel like this is for us. This is for this community.
Not everything should be for everyone. But if you try to appeal to a demographic by pandering to them, the demographic isn't going to like it. So instead, just make something good, and people will like it, and people won't like it. Even if it's really good, there will be people who don't like it. But when you're pandering, you're not going to appeal to fucking anyone.
And, you know, I just...
You know, except for people who want to feel special and virtue signal.
People to know that, like, we do it for the love of our community and the desire to celebrate it. And so I just hope that everyone embraces it and embraces us.
And it's you know, it's funny because people always say, you know, a culture is not a costume, but it's effectively being used as one when you do all this representation where it's very surface level shit where you're just like, this person is different, look at them, that is their entire identity.
And celebrates the show because it's really for you guys.
And representation is being used by the creators and actors as a giant opportunity to pat themselves on the back.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta feel special, gotta feel like you're making a difference by making shitty movies.
And congratulate themselves on how unbelievably forward-thinking and wise they are.
We're a global family, you know, we look like the world. For so long, we've seen superheroes that have looked like a small percentage of the world. This superhero team looks
Yeah,
like...
it's all about how they look. It's not about how they are. That's the thing. It's all about what they are, not who they are.
The world, and I also, you know, in the last year and a half, we've sort of learned that we are on the same earth, and we all share the same problems. Like,
And you just came to this realization just now?
these boundaries and stuff, they're not as important. These borders are not as important.
One world.
One people.
Yeah, it gets so fucking preachy.
One people.
So as I see it, here's the agenda for Phase 4, best described in 3 major points. Number 1, women are amazing.
Yeah, and they can do no wrong. That's the thing, is no matter how wrong they are, they're never wrong.
2, men, unless they're a minority, are stupid, weak,
Dude, Jim from the fucking Office was in fucking Marvel movies.
and useless if they aren't evil, power-hungry, and manipulative. And number 3, why can't people just love each other? And
Can't we all just get along?
stop fighting? Why do we have to have wars or borders? Don't people
War bad, trademark.
realize that we are one world, one people?
You've got to do better, Senator.
Now we're at part 3. Let's talk about the impact of Marvel Phase 4.
Oh, it's made art bad. Like, everything is bad because of how bad Marvel has been. It's ridiculous. Like, all movies are just shit out nowadays, and a lot of people will just be fucking lemmings and go see it. It makes me so angry. That's why I argue with my friend Rem a lot about it, because he doesn't care that he's part of the problem.
Last point of the importance of loving each other was heavily made during the Eternals and Thor Love and Thunder. Any attempts to understand the logic of Love and Thunder is painful, primarily
It's because there's no logic.
It's not designed to tell a good story. It's designed to sell a supposedly deep message, all while emasculating and embarrassing Thor and rattling off as many jokes as humanly possible.
Yeah, again, they rely so much on the fucking jokes. It is so annoying. And again, like, I watched Ragnarok, and the jokes are what made me, like, enjoy it. I don't know if I'd enjoy it so much on rewatch. We'd see, like... But every movie is trying to do that now in the MCU. And it's not just the MCU, it's gone over to Star Wars, too.
And spoiler alert here for anyone who cares about the ending of Thor.
Alright, anyone who gives a shit about bad movies.
Please move on to the timestamp listed.
Which we're not going to do because we don't care. What is that fucking... Is that like Monster Ock? What the fuck is that?
I doubt anyone cares. There's not much of a plot to that movie. At the end of
Damn straight.
the movie, Thor and Jane somehow convince Gore to choose love instead of the destruction of the gods.
Convincing someone named Gore to choose love. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If they're Gore, they should choose violence.
It's not death or revenge that you seek.
What do I seek?
You seek love.
Just like Elliot Rodger, right?
Love.
Which is just such a strange lesson to teach a man who lost his daughter and was faced with absolute apathy for his suffering from his god. Thor and
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
the rest of the gods are shown as such idiots that care only about themselves and their own pleasures or egos rather than the suffering of others. I mean, Thor cares a little, but it's very unconvincing since he's mostly just obsessed with his old hammer. If he's not constantly bumbling on about nothing, are we sure this is the same character?
It's really not. Like, none of these characters are the same character anymore because they're much more poorly written.
The message of love is worse in the Eternals, where one of the heroes is devastated by humans' willingness to use weapons against each other, specifically during the Second World War. Here is yet another black and white treatment of a very complex war. This is all the equivalent of saying that the Avengers could have defeated Thanos and his armies by giving him a hug. Maybe during the Infinity War, this lady should have made a video for Thanos instead.
I'm so sorry that I was not your mother.
That's funny. This dumb bitch who said that she wasn't Putin's mother. That's funny.
If I was your mother, you would have been so loved.
This bitch was so stupid.
Held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes of pure demise.
The problem with this kind of art that subscribes to black and white thinking or agenda-based lecturing results in the audience often falling into one of two very polarized camps. Either you agree with this agenda or you don't. A reasonable
pretty much.
Response, since the Phase 4 stories are practically like propaganda, attaching victim or oppressor status to people based on the color of their skin or their sexual or gender identity. This is the full Marvel subscription to identity politics and the self-esteem movement, intent upon reinforcing one singular idea, that if you can self-identify as a victim because of your race, your gender, your sexual identity, then you can be rest assured that anything that goes wrong in your life can be blamed entirely on white men.
Damn straight, everyone uses that as a crutch. Again, I have agreed with everything this chick has said. You know, I'm gonna give it a like. I'm gonna do that.
This is the reason that people are struggling to connect with these stories. There are a few people in the world that enjoy being told that they're amazing and perfect, but most of the time, that's not what people want to hear. And
yeah, people who are so hungry for validation are usually really insecure, and it's pathetic. like the obsession with validation in today's society is ridiculous to me.
Certainly not the role that stories play. Stories, or should I say good stories, are meant to challenge you and make you think beyond what you know, and most importantly, inspire you to be better.
Damn straight!
Tell you you're amazing if you're a minority.
I feel like I'm always looking up to you. I like it.
Ew.
And certainly not tell you you're despicable if you happen to be a white man. But the worst impact of Marvel Phase 4 is how we're representing men. So let me ask you, is this what we want? Is this
Fuck no.
What we all want from our stories?
Absolutely not.
Represent women as so perfect that we can't connect with them, and represent men as so utterly useless that they might as well be furniture.
I gave my life for a cause. I thought I was being brave.
You don't have earpiece.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Haha, funny.
What sort of message are we sending young men through stories like this? As strong women, don't we want competent men? Not blundering fools that we
Damn straight. We need a resurgence of masculinity, damn it.
can dominate, but equals that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with and meaningful relationships with and accomplish unachievable tasks with. Why have we become so convinced that men need to be kneeling before us, cowering before us, apologizing for existing and being in our presence and praying to us like we're perfect goddesses?
Exactly. Again, most of this video has just been me agreeing with this chick, but I mean, she's right.
He's so convinced that women are such giant narcissists that we can't be criticized or told that we need to work on a craft.
Well, I mean, a lot of women are nowadays, to be fair.
Before we can be recognized as proficient or experts, that we are such narcissists that we can't stand to be faced with a man that is even remotely confident and capable. You know why Spider-Man No Way Home did so well, despite being a mid-pandemic release? It's because it had a good story and no agenda. It had high stakes, difficult decisions, painful sacrifices, but most importantly, it let good men do what they want to do, which is to take their strengths and competence and use it to help people.
Yeah, again, everyone wants me to see this movie, and I will.
Men are capable of terrible things, but they are also capable of good. And good stories should encourage them to aspire to a higher good. That's what a hero does. I'm glad we don't limit heroic stories to men anymore. But we have to stop telling men that there is no difference between competence and misogyny, that sharing an opinion is mansplaining, and wanting to protect the women they love is oppressive and condescending, and that in order for them to work with women as equals, so to speak, they need to be stupid and uncertain and utterly emasculated. In closing, this is not empowerment. This is toxic.
Goddamn right.
Thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this with someone who might enjoy it as well. And if
There you go. All right. Good video. I like that a lot.